In our last episode, we gave you a tour of our 1958 Willys Jeep and did some basic maintenance, only to have it die on the road during our first test drive. In today's episode, we continue our work on the Jeep to see if we can get it to run reliably. Please remember to like and subscribe to see more of our fun projects, cabin renovation, and our life at 11,000 feet above sea level. It is Saturday around noon and the parts arrived. So I've got the new starter motor for the Jeep and it's time to get it down and install it. The old starter, the pinion broke, so where all the teeth were that connect into the flywheel, here's one of the little teeth, and one of the biggest challenges is, as you can tell, this one's broken off. There are about two of them that are somewhere in the bell housing. Now, I don't know how big of a deal that is, but according to some of my friends who are mechanics and Reddit, I should be either a little worried or slightly more than a little. So we're gonna try to get them out with a little magnetic wand before we put the starter motor in. I put the tools in the bed of the truck and I'm just backing to the end of the driveway. That way, I don't have to lug the heavy tool chest up and down. So there we go. The Jeep is just covered in dust. Maybe if it gets done, I'll take it to town and pressure wash it. Clean it up a bit. Okay, so down there you can see where the starter goes, just right in there. There's no broken teeth on the flywheel, so that's good. That's where I'm going to try to shimmy the magnetic wand into. Oh, look at that, we got one. That is working out way better than I thought it was going to. Okay, we're gonna call that a success. I thought there might have been two in there. I got one. Who knows? I know I found one in like the bed of my truck, so I don't know. Maybe I got it. But feel better at least having tried. Okay, now let's get the starter motor. This is a modern design high torque motor. I could have got one that was basically a factory original, but look, at the end of the day, I want this thing to be able to run, and you know, I think the idea of using a nice new starter motor is a good idea. So we're gonna do that. One thing I do have to do though is I have to put a spade connector on this starter wire so that I can connect that in. So let's clip the end of this and we'll put a spade connector on. We're running. Sounds good too. That sounds like a good starter. Like, yeah, it sounds way better than the old one. That's for fucking sure. All right, let's let her warm up and let's take a look on the inside. I think we'll let it warm up for a few minutes, then we'll try and take her for a ride. Now I need to give you all a little backstory, because the starter motor wasn't the main problem. Prior to this, I thought the reason the car died was from too much Marvel Mystery Oil that I put in the fuel tank, causing some bad fuel. So I drained it, replaced the plugs, bled the system, and filled it back up with fresh fuel. Sure enough, it started. However, it still ran poorly, so I thought it must be something electrical. I charged the battery with a trickle charger and had a recommendation to replace the coil and the ballast resistor, so I did that as well. While trying to start it after that, the pinion teeth on the start motor broke, and that's what caused me to order a new one. Unfortunately, during this drive, the car was still sputtering on acceleration, so I figured it was time to rebuild the carb and replace the fuel pump.
All right, so we just took the carb out of the Jeep and it's my job to take it apart. We've got a rebuild kit that just came in today. So we're gonna redo all that, but first I gotta take it all apart. So here we go.
Carburetor is a device that allows the fuel and air to mix prior to going into the engine. In an older vehicle, your gas pedal will often be directly connected to the carburetor. However, over time, bad gas, dirt, and grime can build up and block the small air passages, some of which are fractions of a millimeter in size, leading to poor performance, difficulty starting, and poor idle. Rebuilding a carburetor is a straightforward process. You remove it from the engine, completely disassemble it, clean the housing and all of the little openings with carb cleaner and compressed air, then put it back together with new parts such as jets, needles, and gaskets. If you're curious how we know what part goes where, most carburetors are built so that only one part can fit in a particular slot. Also, there are great diagrams online. It's really windy outside today, but that means there's no mosquitoes blowing around, so we're gonna continue work on the Jeep. This is the old fuel pump. It attaches on the kind of block of the engine and is driven by a small camshaft which kind of pushes this up and down and causes the thing to actually pump. I was able to get a brand new one for basically the same price as the rebuild kit. I think it was $10 difference, but I got like a $10 coupon. So, brand new fuel pump. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna clean up these old fuel fittings just a little bit. So we'll kind of spray them off with a little bit of carb spray. After cleaning the fuel fittings, I coated the threads with high-temp fuel and oil thread sealant. This is sort of the equivalent of Teflon tape, but it's for engines. It will allow me to face the fitting in the correct orientation, even if it's not as tight as it can be, and ensure that there will be no fuel or oil leaks. Okay, my GoPro battery died, but got the new fuel pump back in place, rehooked these lines. Eventually I want to replace this copper one. This is the factory original, and you can tell that over time they kind of, whoever the owners were, messed with it a little bit, or maybe took this off or bent it. I think I'm just going to replace it with just solid fuel hose all the way back to the tank. I think it's time to crank her over. The carburetor's installed, so it's going to take a few cranks to get the engine primed. Oh yeah, there's fuel. It's starting to get in there. It's a little half full on one side. Probably should have bought the one with a primer lever. That was stupid of me. Oh, whoa. So I've adjusted the idle just a little bit. You can do that with these two screws up here. I'm not hearing any misses or kind of like coughs or hiccups or anything like that. I think we're gonna let it warm up just a little bit more, and maybe I'll take it for a quick ride. All right.
Okay, this is test drive after the carb's been rebuilt. What else, Lewis?
Carb's been rebuilt, fuel pump's been replaced, new coil. Yeah, a good deal of stuff. Oh no.
What?
Remember how I said you didn't have a cotter pin?
Yeah. Dude, I thought you looked for it.
No, I didn't. That's okay.
What, the gas just went out?
No, the gas pedal's not connected to the carburetor right now. You know, maybe we can manhandle something here so I can tie it back together.
I mean, I could just walked over there.
That's alright. Sometimes you just gotta be able to MacGyver something together. After this, the Jeep ran great. We still have some more work to do, but for now, it's been something we're driving almost every day. Remember to like, subscribe, and join us next week, where we discuss whether or not solar generators are adequate for your emergency home power needs.